was the situation like back then? I mean, was it really busy around here? I mean, lots of ships docking here at the yard?
Well, we've grown, yes, the number of vessels coming into Subic. We used to have maybe 1-2 calls every couple of weeks. Now we have 9 calls a week.
Does this mean increasing staffing with the 9 calls that you made a mention of?
Absolutely. We're a job creator, and we make sure that we hire folks from here because we want to support the local economy as well.
When are you going to be 5 times more? What sort of a timeline?
Well, if a lot of the infrastructure items that we talked about earlier do come through in the next 2 to 3 years, then we'll see volume climb up steadily in probably the low double digits. And if that does happen, we will be increasing staffing to help maintain and manage the growth in Subic.
But you also have the construction of new terminals 3 and 4. That's in the works as well.
So we're discussing now the implications of that and if we should increase terminal capacity by building more towards the sea or towards the inland. So having said that, this is going to be another chicken and the egg situation. However, as we've seen in the past, because of the successful private and public partnership, we're willing to make the investment first to make sure that we're prepared for the Filipino business to grow and not have them wait for us to catch up.
So you're in the feasibility study stage right now for 3 and 4?
That is correct.
What sort of a plan do you have so far in the works?
Well, we're looking at the possibility of growing the number of berths that we have. That just gives us the ability to accept more vessels at any given time. Right now we can take a maximum of 3, 2 large, 1 small, and service them at the same time, which is fairly unique for this terminal. If I grow another terminal, maybe NCT 3, then we can add another 2. So that gives us an ability to service 100% more in terms of berth capacity.
So the Subic yard is already the 4th largest in the world, is this correct?
No, not the 4th largest. I think if we just talk about the Philippines, we are now coming up to either the 2nd or 3rd largest in terms of capacity throughput.
And can that be first at a certain stage when you get all your cargo volumes up?
Well, no, because when you talk about size, it really is the total square footage of the terminal. So, you know, compared to, let's say, Manila, which is over 50 hectares, we're still about a 5th behind. And even if we get up to NCT 3 and 4, it's still not going to be the same. What's important to think about when you talk about ports around the world, it's not really the sheer size of it, but how fast you can get throughput from the water side to the gates. So I could maintain this size for the next 5 years and still accept about maybe 20 to 40% growth for as long as I keep cycling the imports and exports out as fast as possible.
How can you do that? I mean, how efficient can you be if you get more cargo volumes? Because that would present other sets of challenges if indeed you have more volumes coming in.
That's right. For as long as we maintain the shape of our streamlined efficiencies in the process where we transact through payments, where we transact at the SBMA seaport, when we transact at the Bureau of Customs here in Subic, maintaining that shape as a happy path, we'll be able to make sure that we can cope with any increase that comes our way. As I said, we've simplified processes. We've made it easy for people to come and transact here. So I encourage everybody to try us out.
Is there anything in the infrastructure build-out the government has planned? NEDA has approved 171 billion pesos so far, but the projects don't appear to be anywhere near Subic Bay. So what would benefit you?
There is a plan that's been submitted, obviously it's not part of the list you mentioned, for a connector road that is going to connect our gate here of SBMA and Morong, Bataan, out to Mabiga, which is on the SBITC, and that helps connect also to Dinalupian. What that does is it reroutes cargo volume on a separate road which maintains the integrity of SBITC to Tipo for light passenger vehicles. I think that's going to expand the reach and capacity of the road infrastructure once the industrial estates come on stream all along the Subic-Clark corridor.
So it's a chicken and egg situation again. I mean, the industrial estates have to come first before that corridor gets built.
That is correct. It's proposed to be an 11 billion peso investment, which the government has to spearhead. Obviously, there are higher priorities on that list, but if we talk about building up this region, that's an answer that's already been thought of. And all it means now is funding and further government support.
And in the meantime, you're upgrading your facilities here. You have these
Stackers.
Right. Yes. I mean, how significant is that into the whole mix?
Well, we've invested heavily last year in purchasing new equipment. That means we can move boxes a lot faster, more efficiently in the yard. By doing that, we talked a little earlier about how efficient we could be. The more equipment I put into the yard, the more I can service the ships faster and the cargo to get released through the gate, because then we don't have any more waiting periods.
So do you think 600,000 TEUs can be achieved in 5 years, just coming from northern and central Luzon?
I think we can get to maybe 300,000 at the very most. The government needs to play its part by helping promote industrialization in the countryside.
You know so much about logistics, but you didn't come from logistics at all. You came from financial services, from life sciences, in fact, and
That's
biotech.
right.
I
Yes.
mean, how did you get to study all that you know right now?
My background is in management consulting, so you get to have a view of everything, and doing that for a fair number of years exposes me to a number of business issues up and down the corporate hierarchy. So by putting myself into another industry and having some very good mentors within the company, specifically the people I work for directly in the Asia region, they were able to enlighten me both the good side and the bad side of the industry. So putting all of that together gives you a very good perspective on the business and how to grow it.
Who were your mentors?
Well, I'd like to say some folks in the corporate side, Mr. Fernando Gaspar, and my direct boss, Mr. Christian Gonzalez, two very knowledgeable people that have helped guide me through a lot of the knowledge that I have today.
And what's the good and the bad about the business?
The good is that the Philippines is growing, and we're part of that growth story, and being part of ICTSI, we play a big hand in moving economic prosperity inside that value chain for a business person. The bad is, I wouldn't say it's bad. I just say that there are a lot of growing pains, and we continue to have growing pains as an economy as we transition from an old government into a new one, and trying to adapt to regulatory changes, whether they help the business or not. For as long as we keep an open mind and are flexible to help these businesses, I think we can have a good mix of both and continue the growth story into the future.
But there are challenges that we can't avoid, like Hanjin shipping. I mean, that went bankrupt. How did it affect Subic Port?
It did. Well, right now Subic does not service any material volume from Hanjin shipping. There are some terminals in the Philippines that do and around the world, and at the end of the day, the port does collect at some point, depending on how good they are, on whatever is owed to them. But in Subic, we also have the Hanjin Shipyard, which is not to be confused with Hanjin Shipping Containers. These folks are continuing to build the world's largest vessel for a French company called CMA CGM, who's going to be a future customer here at Subic. And they continue to build and maintain their own growth story as well here at the Freeport Zone.
So they're the biggest employer here at the Subic Port.
That is correct.
And they continue to be so in the next couple of years.
I do believe, because the vessel that's coming on stream is close to about 20,000 TEU. That will compete with the Triple E services of Maersk that are plying the east-west trade, China to the US, China to Europe. And this is what brings a lot more capacity onto the market.
So how do you find time for some relaxation from all the shipping stresses?
Well, I think it's important to note that work is already part of your life, and when people think about it that way, that's a one-way street. I try to make my life part of work, so I maintain a good balance thanks to my wife, who's very understanding, and I'm able to do certain things with them and still be connected to the business and help see this through in good times and bad.
All the best in your cargo volumes here. Thank you so much for
You're
joining
welcome,
us.
Kathy.
The city of Antwerp in Belgium is Europe's second largest port. Today, its skyline cuts a unique figure thanks to the new Port Authority headquarters. Part diamond, part ship, It's the handiwork of world-renowned Iraqi-British architect Zaha Hadid. It blends modern design with the city's historical roots by superimposing a glass structure on a former fire station. 2,000 reflective glass triangles give the building its diamond-like appearance. The 55 million euro project was 8 years in the making for the Zaha Hadid firm. But last March, just months before its completion, Hadid died suddenly at the age of 65. Still, it's a fitting legacy for Hadid, who was known for her avant-garde designs. Antwerp, a glittering gem in the region's trade industry, with its port shining like a diamond. For The Boss, I'm Jiaden Singh.
The last time I was in Subic was in 1996, when I covered the APEC Leaders Summit, just 1 week before the storm came calling. Back then, Subic seemed very much like the U.S.-American airbase it had been, but some 5 years had already gone by since, after the Philippine Senate voted to end American military presence in the country in a dramatic vote of 12 to 11. Subic Bay was the largest American military installation in the Philippines, all of 60,000 acres. This was the U.S. Navy's principal supply and ship repair installation in the region. 20 years on, I returned to Subic to see how the port is positioning itself to be the alternative to Manila's crowded shipping port. The economic potential of this former U.S. airbase has yet to be fully realized. We asked, you answered. Here are some of the responses we got from you last week. What about you? What have you shipped by sea most recently? Don't forget to use the hashtag #TheBossANC. That's it for the show. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Kathy Yang. See you again next week.